I was basically one of the very few Asian in Wake Forest University. But I was never bullied. I said I've never been bullied. And he was so shocked. He was like, no way. I've been bullied all my life. And I'm like, no, never. And I always wondered why.
Was being Asian difficult for you? But you weren't bullied?
No, I wasn't bullied. Does adapting mean we're not happy with ourselves? Or is it just a natural progression of life, change?
I think we have to adapt. I don't think we have a choice of not adapting in today's. Like, the world's changing constantly. And that's why when people ask like, CK, what's your 5-year plan, 10-year plan? I'll tell them I don't have a 10-year plan. Because if you have a 10-year plan, most often the time you're gonna have to change. Because the world will change every single day. The world changes way too quickly. People talk about, oh, now there are so much more, the world's worse today. It's not exactly true. Most of the people that are complaining about today's world, they haven't lived 100 years ago. So most often time changes are good.
But people are so resistant to it. Why is that? Why is your last name Chong?
Yeah, because now we know it's half Chinese and half Thai.
In Chinese, supposed to be Zhang, but then when I was born in Macau, the place was still colonized by Portuguese. So I have to spell my Chinese name in Portuguese. So that's why it's called Chong. That's why it's CK Cheong. That's why it's a little weird. That's why most of the people think I'm Korean, because Chong is a Korean last name. The reason why it's CK is because when I went to the States, every time when a person asks, what's my name? I say chicken, and they're always like, sorry,
chicken?
What again? And they say chicken, or they would ask for the meaning, and I would have to explain myself to every single person. But so I changed it to CK. So now they know for sure how to spell it. Now they know for sure how to pronunciate it. Yeah. And then when they ask what does it mean, I just say cool kid. I'm just too cool, man.
Let's talk about growing up in America, because we all did.
Okay. Really?
In our lifetime, once we did.
How old were you when you were
13?
13, and you were?
I was 13.
13.
No
to
way.
17.
No way.
And you?
I was 6.
You were 6 to
Canada.
You never grew up in America? I thought.
And then America 15 for boarding school. So yes.
Very similar anyway.
You did boarding school?
No, very similar. Canada, US, very similar culture.
Yes.
Except they're nicer.
Canadians are nicer.
Yes.
Was being Asian difficult for you?
Well, okay, similar to CK, my name is Pranapda. And the reason it's Pam is because we would have no friends if our name was Pranapda. So they had to shorten it up. But at that time, there weren't very many Asian kids, but there was a huge influx it was that whole, that's why Vancouver is called Hongcouver, that whole migration of Hong Kong people to Vancouver. So there were enough of Asians around that I didn't feel anything
But
much.
you weren't bullied?
No, I wasn't bullied.
You have white girl vibes.
Cali girl?
Very Cali. Very
That's
Cali.
Interesting.
What about your journey? I mean,
in the US?
Were you ever bullied with the CK?
No. I think I've mentioned this in
We talked about it.
In Top GLU's podcast. I said I've never been bullied. And he was so shocked. He was like, no way. I've been bullied all my life. And I'm like, no, never.
Especially in Idaho.
And I was the only Asian kid when I was in Idaho, when I was at St. Andrews, when I was at Maryland. And then when I moved to college, I was basically one of the very few Asian in Wake Forest University. It's a very, very white school. So I was never bullied. And I always wondered why, right? All my friends are white. So since day one, I involve myself in their life. I speak like them. I live their life. I hang out with them all the time.
You're a banana.
Yeah. So basically,
He's a banana.
I'm trying to be
integrate.
I try to integrate with their lives. So I think that's why they don't see me as different. But when
wait. Let me interject right there. But why did you hang out with the Asian people though? I really want to know. What gravitated you towards mostly Caucasian or white kids?
I think number one was I didn't have a choice when I was in Idaho. I was literally the only Asian kid at Idaho. And so I realized early on that I didn't have that choice. And I don't know, I thought that me going to the US, the whole point was to improve my English, to fit in. So the best way to fit in is just to live their lives. And my host family, I live with a host family all my life. They're white, and yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? It's not about the race or or the skin color. It's just about belonging.
Can I ask though, does adapting mean we're not happy with ourselves, or is it just a natural progression of life, change?
It's an open book right now. It's an open book right now.
I think we have to adapt. I don't think we have a choice of not adapting in today's life. Like the world's changing constantly. That's why when people ask like, CK, what's your 5-year plans, 10-year plan? I'll tell them I don't have a 10-year plan. You know why? Because if you have a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan, most often time you're gonna have to change because the world will change every single day. The world changes way too quickly for you not to adapt. So maybe you can have a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan max. 3 you're stretching it.
So that's one thing that's inevitable.
That's for sure, right? Especially now. I think you have to be excited for change. I think most of the time associate change with fear. Yeah. They think, oh, change is not good. Oh, I'm comfortable with change. I actually think change can be exciting. I mean, if you look at the trend, right, with human evolution, most often time, the standard of living, it's always gonna be better. I mean, people talk about, oh, now there are so much more, the world's worse today. It's not exactly true, Most of the people that are complaining about today's world, they haven't lived 100 years ago. I think today's medicine is so much better. There's something called entrepreneurship. It wasn't possible before. Now you have an abundance of opportunities. Now you can fly aboard. Now you can transport without buying a car.
Let's talk about the basics. We get hot water.
Hot water. You have toothpaste, shampoo, you have podcasts. It's crazy. So most often time changes are good.
But people are so resistant to it. Why is that?
Actually, there are two types of people, right? One that likes to change and those who don't like to change. Actually, if you think about it, both aren't in a wrong, just for different reasons. Let's just say you're in a company and let's just say the CEO, right? I want to change. We need to change A, B, C, D, E. The employee doesn't want to change. And the reason why, they have their own reason, because the stuff that we have been doing kind of worked, right? The reason why we don't want to change is it worked. It's paying the bills, it's doing well, customer are coming in. Why change?
We got to upskill, we got to learn more things.
Correct. So it's just, they're both not in the wrong, it's just different perspective. I think that's the key here.
I applaud you for having the energy to lead hundreds of people right now with Fastwork, transforming their lives, even with the campaigns that they're doing. He has a search engine on his Fastwork site.
I told her about
it.
He told you about it. He was very excited about it.
I'm very excited to hear about it.
Tell us more about this.
So, who I'm trying to compete with is Google, right? So Fastwork this year, what's gonna happen with our app is that you click on Fastwork, you'll see nothing but a search bar. It's called AI search. Our AI search bar is going to launch in 2 weeks. So this AI search bar, basically, it doesn't matter what you type in there. We will have it. All services. You want someone to water your plant, to do your garden. You want a photographer.
But all specific to services.
All services will have it. So the key here is to steal search traffic from Google. So this was actually inspired by Amazon. And Amazon steal a lot of search traffic from Google based on product, because for example, if you're looking for a candle, if you're looking for a mic, if you're looking for a table, you're not searching on Google, you're searching on Amazon. So when Amazon steal the search traffic from Google, they can sell SEM, sponsor, similar to what Google is doing. I think I also want to do that. I want to steal search traffic from Google for service base, because today you're looking for a technician. You go on Google, you might find some, you might not find some. You have to scroll, you have to find a number, you have to go through a website. But within Fastwork, the search result is more relevant. You can go directly to the service provider. And I think that's the key here, to empower every single one to have a website of their own, right?
And does it start just in Thailand?
So I'm in global? 3 countries. So Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam.
Okay.
The key here is, I want to do this very well in Southeast Asia, because what I'm saying today doesn't exist anywhere. To be the Amazon for services, that's the key.
I think you want people to stay on the app.
Yes.
How do I stay at Fastwork compared to TikTok, Netflix?
ChatGPT, I would ask, because that's where I do my searching.
The whole purpose of a business, there are 2 things. One is to create a customer, 2 is to keep a customer. So for me, it's to create more reasons for them to be on the platform, meaning that not just making your logo, but you want lang air, for example. Right now, we have campaign lang air 399. So you can lang air with Fastwork. You can clean your AC with Fastwork. What about your refrigerator? What about your plumb? What about your waterworks? What about your, you want to do content, you want editing, doesn't matter what it is. I want people to search on me to find the people that they need. And naturally they want to pay within Fastwork because there are other benefits. For example, the seller, if they take the job within Fastwork, the SEO goes up. So the ranking goes up, the Fastwork score goes up. So the next time around when you're searching interior design for restaurant, the chance of them showing on your feed, it's higher. That's number one. Similar to Google, right? They have Google score. Two is that they're a benefit for buyers, like cashback. For example, if every purchase that you make, you get 5% back, and 5% that you can spend on something else, similar to a go to cash. That's two. And three is that it's just escrow. So we're trying to be the better version of Facebook, if you think about it, right? Facebook, you can find a stranger and you can pay directly to them. But the problem is you don't know this person. But we want to be the escrow for the customer. So the customer pays through us. So the seller doesn't get the money yet. But only the seller, when they deliver the job and the buyer click, I'm satisfied, then the seller gets the money. So I'm this middle guy that ensures trust between strangers. So with all these involved, I think it's possible to create the Amazon for services.
This is going to be exciting to see what's going to unfold. And going back last year, what was your takeaway last year? Because you were there for a few days. Well, it was 2 days. You were there. We appreciate your presence. And I was really happy that he was there. I told him, CK, come to Dragonfly, because he works so hard. You know, he works so hard. I want him to
Thank you.
be inspired. I know he resonates with, Yuval and Steven. And hopefully this year it can relate with a lot of speakers as well.
I'm very proud that these world-class level speaker, Steven's off the roof right now with his podcast. And I wish that more Thai people would learn from these world-class speakers in a way, because the world is actually more interconnected. Today, when you post a content, it's actually, you should not just think about just Thailand, but you should think about global in a way. Like a lot of my content, if you think about it, a lot of my content are inspired by foreign content. It's not Thai content. I'll give an example. Ice bath. Where did I get that idea from? I stole it in a way. I got it from Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart did Cold as Balls, where he interviewed athletes while they're in the ice bath. I thought that's kind of cool. Why don't we do that in Thailand? So I took that idea and bring it here. When I started the podcast, I was inspired by Steven. I was like, the reason why Steven's podcast actually worked is because he asked like a curious boy. Steven is a brilliant guy. But when he asked the question in the podcast, we all know he knows the answer, but he's asking for the audience. And the way he engaged with the guests, it's amazing. And and I took a lot of inspiration from that in building my own podcast. For example, when I'm doing my daily content, there's, for example, the mindset part, I take a lot from Alex Hermosi, or Gary Vaynerchuk, or these other business people in the space that talk about, whether it's mindsets or business or stuff like that. So I took a lot of inspiration from these world-class speakers, world-class entrepreneurs, world-class figures, and turn into my own. I think it's very inspiring. I really would hope more Thai content creator, business owner would tune in and learn more about these people.
So my question is, why would you come to the summit versus just watching them on YouTube?
Oh, different. Because
some people are like, well, we can watch these amazing world-class speakers on YouTube.
I think when you're shooting behind camera and when you're in person, it's always very, very different. Like you can talk to a lot of people that follow me. They can listen to my content online, but why would they want to sit, 300-400 people sit just to watch me live? Because that live experience is a little different. It's a chance to interact. Like I get to ask a question to Steven. Imagine that. Like I never get that opportunity. I could comment on his YouTube, but he would never pick me, right? Or he might never even see it. But the chance that Steven was an exception because there was a book signing session that everyone actually get to shake his hand. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's one. And two is a community. It's not about just a speaker. It's about the community that was created by the speaker. People that listen to Steven, it's already a filter in a way that, these people are quite driven. These people are curious. These people are, they want to learn. They're desperate for knowledge, for inspiration, whatever it is. So I think the community that draws everyone together, that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. I think I got tons of content or tons of guests for my ice bath or tons of different connections from the summit alone. So I think the speaker is more the cherry on top. I think the sundae is the community. You
can help us out a bit, because we, the founders, were talking, and how when Pam started this summit, it wasn't really about the speakers or the lineup per se. Well, they're amazing people and they're a part of our community. The people that attended, it's the community of dragonflies that were there. So, and we were discussing about how do we share this with the world? In terms of, like, even this year's summit itself, like, how would you approach in terms of the community and how people came together, and it's not a thing that happens all the time.
I thought, it's kind of different. It's a very different summit, because usually the summit is either straight up like a rave, or is it really about business, or it's about or techno.
Yeah.
But this is like, you saw a bunch of people doing sound healing at the same time, hundreds of people like working on sound healing, or the topics are hard to find anywhere else. So you draw people who are actually not just interested in the the knowledge space, but also the spiritual space, where they also care about the healing part. The healing, I'm not talking about like the actual physical healing, but the mentally, spiritually. I think a lot of people want to be there to be more self-aware. They want to know themselves better.
Oh wow.
They want to understand the struggle more. And by understanding themselves more, it empowers them to understand the problem more. Or sometimes they might be overlooking something or some aspect of their lives that, I'm actually quite lucky to be here even. So I think the overall experience is quite fascinating, but this is more about, do you know yourself yet? While you're chasing all these stuff that you want to have in life, have you ever looked inward that, what, we might already have a lot of stuff that we wish for,
It's really
That's
beautiful.
really beautiful. Yeah.
That's how I would word it.
Yeah, he should be our marketing manager.
I know. Do you have that service on your new platform?
Yes. If we
just me
at Dragonfly would like to search on Fastwork, do you give services?
Well, Woody can always give me a call. I'm always happy to help out.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to help out. I think it's a fascinating, great event. Thank you for doing it. I mean, it takes tremendous courage to even try something like this. It's awesome.
I want to talk about sleep, guys, because you two
did not sleep at the sound bath.
Yes. Yeah. How's your sleep?
Now that I know about sleep, nothing is more important in my life than sleep. I can tell you that my productivity, it's like 1,000% higher when I have good sleep. So
what's good sleep for you?
7 to 8. I cannot have less than 7 to 8. I think when I was in my 20s, I could. I can sleep 4 or 5 hours, sometime like 3 hours, and I'll be the same the next day. But now I couldn't, and I realized that nothing gives me a better high than just a full night of sleep. I wake up and I still have like 2 hours before I go to work. It's freaking amazing. Yeah. I feel I can take over the world. But the day that I didn't get enough sleep usually are the days that
cranky,
and I don't think I make good decisions. I'm not quick on the fly. Sleep's so important. Like, never. People say like work or sleep. Like, always sleep. If you don't sleep, you can't work. It's impossible.
How do you sleep? How do you do the countdown? Like, when you close your eyes, when it gets to your head, like
Do you have a wind down
I mean,
type of thing?
like right now, like a lot of things I'm doing, I have an answer for. So I just need to execute. So I already have the map. I just need to walk the map. So I need to sleep so I can wake up the next day so I can start walking.
I see.
I really do have an answer for everything in my life. Like I know what I want. I know what I prioritize. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to do it. I know how to get there. I just need time. I need energy. I want to wake up the next day and just walk the map.
Sleep.
And that's why I don't get stressed, because stress, I think, relates to you have a problem and you don't know the solution to the problem. Most of the people who are stressed, they overstress on stuff that they cannot control. But if you only think about the things that you are in control, you can 100% sleep.
And you can channel your energy just
Correct.
to that.
Because if you don't sleep, the next day you cannot work on the things that you can control, right?
I think this is the topic that everyone's talking about now. I mean, it's been on the list for years now, and we've been working on our sleep. Who would CK resonate with? And you said Matthew Walker.
Yes, Matthew Walker.
Because
he is the sleep expert, and he's just amazing. And I guess it comes up all the time, right? That's what everything, animal, human, whatever, has to do is sleep. Yes. And kids these days, I see, get less and less and less sleep.
Because they're addicted to blue light.
That and the competitiveness and everything and the blue light and all that. So that was really interesting to hear that sleep is your priority.
Sleep is, guys, if anyone listens to this podcast, please prioritize sleep. And it is not just about productivity. I'm also talking about like health. If you dive in to everyone that have chronic diseases or cancer or whatever that's like, whatever that's horrible for our health, things that you don't want to hear from a doctor, reason why you're less immune to it, it's the lack of sleep. If there's a drug, and this drug, if you take it, you'll feel like you have 8 hours of sleep. It will be the best drug on earth. So please just sleep, and it's free. This is free.
So do you prioritize it? Say you're out late at night, 10 p.m. You'll just
everything, including the food that I eat, I prioritize my sleep. So I try not to eat too late because it interrupts my sleep. I try not to eat beef at night because it makes my digestive system works harder. So I try to eat something lighter like fish, chicken, pork at night so I can sleep better. Everything that I do for sleep.
I'm so happy for you.
Prioritizes so much.
I am so happy because I worry about him so much. I tell him I worry about you, CK.
He prioritizes himself.
Your podcast, the podcast I did with him, the Woody Show, my DM is flooded. Where people will be like, CK, take care. CK, don't die. CK, guys, I'm sleeping. I'm just working hard. But the way that he's cutting the video is like, boom, 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 boom. CK, you know what I mean? You die now. Like the way he cut it makes it seem like I'm gonna die tomorrow.
Oh,
we purposely did it because as a gift.
Well, now people care about him.
That was what we manifested. I want thousands of people to message him and say, hey, take care of yourself.
Okay, there's one theme I'd like to just put out there before we wrap this up, I'm assuming, and it's that what I've noticed when I was sitting next to Stephen Bartlett is he also prioritized sleep, and he also doesn't drink. And what I've noticed with highly efficient people who care a lot about productivity and just doing more than the normal average person is they don't drink.
Yes.
And they prioritize sleep, and they prioritize exercise. So it's almost a form of self-worth, but it truly is in how we treat it, what we feed it, what we give to it, in order for it to, it's like a machine, right?
Yes.
The next day, so it can continue to produce more and do more, and you get it.
I do anything for you, I think it's a rare find to find somebody who I feel, one, is I click with, and two, is that I feel like, you want nothing from me in return. I also don't expect anything from you in return. As I said in a previous podcast from also organized by you, I think the greatest form of love is to care and love somebody without any expectation for anything. I think that's the key. And I don't expect anyone to do the same for me, but I want to do the same. I want to do that for other people. And I feel, they said P. Woody have this thing and wants my help. Of course I'm here. And I tried to organize another time. They said that your schedule is very tight.
Sorry.
This is the only time to do it. I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I can just reschedule a meeting an hour late. I don't want to screw this up. So, yeah.
We're super honored.
Of course.
We're super honored, and we love you, CK.
I love you too. I love you too.
Cool kid.